Hey guys, it's Lego Boys E3. Today I'm going to solve this magnetic Megaminx without the core. And so today I think is going to be a pretty fun challenge video made possible by my new X-Man Galaxy V2 magnetic Megaminx. So basically in the past I've made videos with like magnetic 3x3s where I take the whole thing apart and I reassemble it without the core. And so basically because the pieces are magnetic, they kind of stick together like this, and it's still possible to turn the cube when it's assembled without a core. So let's just take apart the rest of the puzzle here, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's reassembled without the core. And here we go. Here is the assembled Megaminx without a core. As you can see, it stays together decently well, and if we try hard enough without messing up any of these pieces, you can actually turn it like a normal Megaminx. As you can see, here is the core of the Megaminx, which looks kind of cool. Kind of just like a little ball with all these little pieces sticking out. Anyway, back to the actual Megaminx part here. Let's scramble this up, and then we can go ahead and start solving it. There we go, I think that should be scrambled up enough. So let's go ahead and get started with the solve. So looking around the cube here, we want to start off with the cross. So let's find our cross pieces. Most of them are around in this region. So I don't actually know the color scheme off the top of my head of the Megaminx, so we're actually going to have to use these corner pieces. That way when we put these edge pieces together, they'll have the right color scheme relative to each other. So for example, I'll match up these two pieces like this, and then I'll bring it over. Now I know that these two edges are correct relative to each other. Now let's find the next corner piece that can go next to here. Here we go, so we have the purple and yellow one, and what we can do is move it over so this yellow and white piece is right next to it. So now we have this whole kind of first layer block starting to form. Now we can bring up this next corner with red on it, and then we can add in the red and white piece. There we go. And now since the only other color on the first layer is blue, we know that the blue piece should go in right here. And there we go. Now this cube is actually very hard to turn, obviously, in this state, because you have to make sure everything kind of stays together as you turn it. Most of these little edge pieces want to turn along with the side that you're turning, so you have to prevent them from turning by kind of holding everything in place except the side that you want to turn. So like this, and now we can get in this F2L pair. Now obviously when you solve a 3x3 without a core, since there are no centers, it's going to be more like a void cube instead of a normal 3x3, which means you can have some weird parities and things like that. But on a Megaminx, it's going to be more like a cube called a Holy Megaminx, which I don't actually have one of. But on that cube, I don't believe there are actually parities. So fortunately, there's not going to be anything too difficult to deal with. So inserting this piece into here should be our second to last F2L pair, just like this. And now we just have this last one right here, which we can solve by doing a couple turns like this and insert it in the front. Okay, so going on to the second two layers of a Megaminx, it's still going to be a little bit harder than it would be on a standard Megaminx because you don't have the centers. So for example, you could put in like this blue piece right here and think that it's in the right spot, when in reality there is no blue, red, and light green corner piece to go here. This piece actually needs to go up here. So it can be a little bit confusing, but you can still use those corners to guide you and show you where the pieces need to go. So for example, this would be the correct placement of this piece. But this is also where the solve of the Megaminx starts to get a little bit tedious. And so I'm just going to start doing these first couple pairs, and then after a while I might start to speed it up a little bit. You just have to be very, very careful with every single turn that you do, and some of these pieces like to not stay in their right places while you're turning, like that one right there, to pop back into place. And that one too down there. But anyway, we can slowly make progress, put in these F2L pairs like this, and now we have the first major section of the second two layers done, and we're going to start on this section right here. Oh no, it fell off. So yeah, every once in a while you kind of have to pick up the pieces and gently figure out where they went. I think this piece actually slid over to here, and then just carefully stick it right back into place like that. But actually the whole thing with not having centers is actually quite a bit easier than I expected it to be, and I think that's because I'm used to solving the Megaminx in this particular order. I've done it so many times, like starting off with white and then going around the cube in a certain direction, that I'm kind of used to where the colors are relative to each other, just kind of subconsciously, because I've done hundreds of solves just like this. And so yeah, it's actually not that hard to do it without the centers. Actually, I would really like to get a Holy Megaminx. I believe that's what it's called. The one that by default does not have center pieces. That would be pretty cool. Anyway, getting on here, it looks like we're going to be onto the last layer. So it looks like we have a pretty easy case to do EO, just like this. hoping nothing falls apart again like it did before. This is actually a pretty easy CO case too that I know the algorithm for. I actually don't know a lot of CO Megaminx algorithms. I should learn more of them because that would make me faster. Here we go. And now on to edge permutation. This should be a Y-perm. And here we go. Pretty easy last layer actually. This should be, I think you might be able to do like an E-perm on here, but I'm just going to do it the standard beginner's way. Just like this. Anyway, yeah, it's not actually too hard to turn these pieces. You just have to make sure you're doing everything very gently and making sure that the pieces actually move where you want them to. Sometimes, like I was showing earlier, the pieces will just kind of come out of alignment like that, and you kind of have to be careful and put it back right into the right spot, like that. But as long as you're really careful every time that it gets messed up, it's pretty easy to recover, and eventually you'll end up with a solved Megaminx, just like I'm about to do right here. Couple more turns, and here we go, realign the last layer. So there you go, there is my entire solve of a Megaminx without the core. It was pretty easy, there was no crazy parity or anything. You just kind of had to make sure all those pieces were in the correct place relative to each other, kind of like you would have to do on a 3x3 void cube, except quite a lot harder because there's so many different sides you have to keep track of. Anyway, this is all possible again because of the X-Man Design Galaxy Megaminx V2, which you can get in a factory magnetized version, which is this version right here, which has definitely become my main because it's a very good Megaminx. I definitely recommend it. I'll leave a link to the unboxing down below. Anyway, that is pretty much it for this video. I guess I would recommend trying this out if you have a magnetic Megaminx because it's pretty fun, or at least doing it on a magnetic 3x3 because I know a lot of people have those nowadays. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video, and I will see you guys next time.